This is Tom Rossback from Honeywell. You're listening to Control Talk Now with Ken Smyers and Eric Stromquist.
Welcome to Control Talk Now. This is your host, Eric Stromquist, and I am joined, as usual, by the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh, home of the Steelers, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you for that grandiose introduction again. And, home of the Steelers. It's exciting. The NFL season's starting up. The NFL wouldn't be on the first page of the explanation of life, but for me, it'd be on the second or third for sure. So how are things in Atlanta, and how are the Falcons looking this year?
Well, Falcons are looking good this year. I think they're going to be okay. The defense is a little bit suspect, but we'll have to wait and see. So, the games of the Falcons could be like 100-99 because I think the offense is going to score a lot, but I'm not sure the defense is going to be able to stop anybody. So we'll just have to wait and see on that, Kenny. Well, listen, you and I were both on vacation last week, as you know, and so we got a lot to catch up on, Kenny, this week. So why don't we start off with, first of all, thanks to Tom Rossback for that great introduction he gave us. We really appreciate that. Tom is the Vice President and General Manager of Honeywell Commercial Controls worldwide, Kenny. So he is got a lot of responsibility, and I think Honeywell is probably in really good hands with Tom at the helm. So, Kenny, who is our sponsor this week?
All right, Eric. The sponsor for Control Talk Now, ending week of September 8th, 2013, is Project Haystack. A little bit about Project Haystack. It's an open source Niagara AX module that enables Niagara Station, adjacent web supervisors to serve data in the Project Haystack format via a RESTful protocol using NHaystack. I think we're going to get more and more familiar with these terms, but if you go to the site there, and we'll have a link on there, the NHaystack automatically generates standard tags for all control points in your system. This feature allows for connecting immediately to the Niagara Station via Haystack once the NHaystack module has been installed without requiring any further configuration. It makes the discovering the points in your station as easy as issuing a simple inquiry.
Well, Kenny, and that's right. And we had the opportunity to meet, a lot of the major players at the Haystack Connect. We covered that actually on Control Trends. You can go back and see videos of people like John Petsy, Jason Briggs, Scott Mensch. It really seems to be a protocol or a standard that's being adopted by more and more people. So it's exciting. And many, many thanks to the people at Haystack for supporting the 2013 Control Trends Awards. What do we have up first, our first post?
All right, Garrick. First up would be the Honeywell Webs AX Security at ASIS 2013, the American Society of Industrial Security. Honeywell is pleased to announce that they'll be coming to the Chicago September 24th through the 27th trade show. And Roger and Laura, Lou and Steve will all be there. And if you have an opportunity to go visit Honeywell at the ACIS 2013 show in Chicago.
Absolutely. If you haven't met Roger Rebenak, we call him the mayor of Indy, and he has an experience there called the Roger Rebenak Experience. We talk about it a lot, but if you're out there in the controls world, if you're a systems integrator, reach out to your local Honeywell authorized systems distributor and tell them you want to meet Roger Rebenak. All right, Kenny, what do we have up next?
All right, Eric. Next up was the OpenADR Alliance that announces its first automated demand response 2.0b certified products. And I think this is really interesting because this is a subject that Control Trends has been following closely since its inception. But it came as a news release out of Globe Newswire. And not surprisingly, of the five, Honeywell was one of the five products. So it shows that Honeywell is in the lead position along with AutoGrid, EnerNOC, Fujitsu, I'm sorry about that, and IPKeys technology. So but it's a great post. Go visit Control Trends. It's on the August 28th post, and it really explains what's going on and how it's become more and more impacting in our industry.
Well, it is, and I tell you, automated demand response, Kenny, is something that's not going to go away. Now, I can't speak for your area of the country. I know I talked to Mark Jewell, who's a big energy consultant guy, and several other people. And in California, there's so many incentives for ADR. In Georgia, they're pretty much none. I think Georgia has an abundance of power now. You will remember we talked with Ross Malme from, what was the name of that company? It was a Skipper or whatever that does.
Skipping Stone.
Skipping Stone, yes. They do a lot of consulting with the government. So they're real big with that, Kenny. And, Ross he's based here in Georgia, and he was just saying there's certain municipalities that are just, it's not as big of a deal for them. So they're not offering the same sorts of incentives. But I think if you're in California, it's pretty phenomenal, the type of incentives that you can get.
It sure is, Eric. In fact, we posted that last week on Control Trends, and I welcome everybody to visit that, but we'll post it again, a link to it. The reason why is that everybody's preparing for it. Some of the big thermostat manufacturers, Honeywell, Nest, Ecobee, they're all preparing their components to make them smart so that they can deal with the ADR, the automatic demand response, or automated. Actually, it's automated, not automatic. Automated demand response, and it's going to become part. It's going to be part of the staple, part of every component. It's either the information on a bad energy day is going to come through the utility grid. It's either going to go through the meter or through a front end software interface. But everybody's going to have it. And I think Pennsylvania's a little bit slow too, but I've done some research on it. And if you prepare yourself for it, you can go to your utilities, and they have to give you some sort of incentive because the federal government is incentivizing them, and they have to show that they're pushing it. And you coming to them prepared saying, I'm ready to go, where's my rebate or where's my reduction to the utility fees, costs, and also you can sell your energy back if you're not using it, as long as you can prove that's what you're capable of doing. So you have to be metered out, and you have to have some sort of a ADR interface.
Right. So interesting stuff there. Well, Kenny, what do we have up next?
All right, J2Fin tutorial, working today with trends and histories. Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? That was some training that went on down in the Atlanta, Georgia, and Orlando area.
Well, yeah, it was, Kenny. And, Scott Minch is making a road tour and doing training classes on the road, which is really cool. So he came into Atlanta, trained some of our integrators. They really liked the training. We had the opportunity to do some different things with Scott. As a matter of fact, there was actually a hangout, Google Hangout, where some of the integrators that couldn't come in for this stuff, our Rob Allen set up a Google Hangout, and they were actually able to get some information from Scott. You can actually view that hangout on Control Trends. But this is actually J2 Innovation has a really good YouTube channel with a lot of tutorials on them, and we pull those down and try to make them available for our viewers on Control Trends. But good stuff from those guys.
Very good. Next up, Eric, we had a nice post by Dozier from Stromquist. See how to install the negative ion generator made by Advanced Control Technologies. I watched this, and it is very simple. And Dozier does a great job how the negative ion generators purify indoor air. Dust, pollen, animal dander, mold spores, and bacteria are neutralized electrically when your fan's running. And this keeps your environment clean and healthy. Why don't you tell us about how that's taken off in your area? Up here in Pennsylvania, I mean, a lot of the OEM equipment comes in with the electronic air cleaners, and we do sell our share of electronic air cleaners, but we really haven't seen success with these products. They seem very affordable and very purposeful, that they work really well.
Well, they do, Kenny, and they work on a unique principle. So in other words, it charges the air in a certain way so that it actually attracts particles and they just fall to the ground. And what's cool about it is they eliminate odors. When we installed them at my house for the first time, there was a lot of odor in the house. We had a lot of dog dander, and I have 3 floors, and we started with the top floor, and by the time I went downstairs to get something and come back up, it smelled like Switzerland in there. So it was just from an odor standpoint, it works really, really well. And Dozier actually shows how easy it is to install in your home. But Kenny, I think the big thing with these things is commercial applications. And there are a couple of different people that make these things. But I want you to think about the concept of outside air and why we bring outside air into buildings. And if you think about it, one of the main reasons, I think, Kenny, is that we want ventilation. The theory being if we have enough fresh outside air in, we will eliminate things like odor and germs. But if this is actually killing the germs, eliminating the mold and the bacteria as well as the odor, think about the cost savings if you install something like this up front. And you don't have to keep, you can downsize your system so you're not having to put as much, ductwork in, or the fans exactly the same size, right? So I think if it really catches on, I think we could see huge energy ramifications and huge energy savings just from the fact that you're not going to have as much ductwork. The fans are not going to be as big. The units can be smaller because you're not having to condition the air that you're bringing in from the outside. So I'm not a consulting engineer. I'd be very, very interested in getting, I know we have a lot of consulting engineers that listen to the show. I'd be very interested in comments to hear what people have to say about this concept. But this one company that we represent a couple of them that make these ionizers. They actually have an economizer set up that actually works in conjunction with one of these, and their theory is that you could actually get down to zero outside air as long, they're hooking up with indoor air quality sensors, as long as the quality of the air meets the requirements by code. So possibly, Kenny, a whole new dynamic in terms of fan supplies and equipment sizing, and I don't know, what do you think?
I agree with that, but I don't think you'll be running a straight uphill course against ASHRAE and tradition. So I think these new technologies will make an impact, but I think environmentally and geographically. So in certain parts of the country, I think you'll see that being a very important area where you don't have a whole lot of fresh air. I mean, if you're in a major metropolitan area and you've got smog alerts and you've got things going on, that now seems to make a very big impact because you're remedying your indoor air quality a different way. And these wide open spaces where you have plenty of fresh air and people are just accustomed to it, I don't think, even though they might use it, they're still gonna want their fresh air, and they're still going to use those ASHRAE standards for it. So it's very interesting. I like the fact that new technology is coming in, and the best thing I like about it is it's affordable and it's scalable. So you can use it on a large commercial environment or application. But again, every household could have one, and it's a $40-$50 part.
If nothing else, just for the odor elimination, it's totally worth it. And I think a lot less moving parts than a regular electronic air cleaner. And I think it helps the equipment. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer, Kenny. These things are not expensive. They're not hard to install. All you got to do is take a look at Dozier's video, and you know exactly what to do with it. So, Dozier, thanks very much for that video. Good stuff. Kenny, what do we have up next?
All right, Eric. Next up, we have ACI announces 2 new pressure sensor products that deliver high quality at winning prices. I had the good opportunity to talk to Barry Gordon, one of our most valuable sport persons of the year last year from the Control Trends Awards, and he's still every bit as motivated and knowledgeable about the new technology ACI is introducing it to our markets. And I recommend everybody take a look at that. It's some great product. The specification guidance and literature is all on the website on Control Trends, so make sure you hit those hot buttons and read more about it. But ACI is continuing to charge, delivering high-quality products at winning prices.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about ACI, because that is a great company. We had Chad Swin was actually on the show. We're doing our Google Hangouts. We'll talk a little bit more about the last one we had, where we're talking, Kenny, about using social media and HVAC. And I think ACI, smaller company, they're out of Wisconsin. They've got voted best, I think, American company, small company. I don't know how many years, but They work with local people. They hire local people. They make great products. They have great values. Barry Gordon was the most valuable support person. Just a fantastic guy. Chad Swin, a very, very savvy executive, I think. So we really like ACI a lot, and we'll put the link down, and we'll put a link in the show notes, but ACIwork.com, I think, is their website, Kenny, and be sure to check those guys out.
It sure is. It's actually workaci.com. But you're right. And if you go to the news section and you do want to know a little bit more about how a very dynamic company is utilizing social media, ACI would be a good site to visit and see, because they have so much information about themselves and their employees and their community that they have to take it off of their professional web page per se and put it into a link. So they use the social media conduits to do that. They do.
Kenny, what's up next?
All right, next up we had Honeywell firmware update for the Spider backnet. This came out August 29th, and the Spider product continues to be a stalwart controller for Honeywell. Sold zillions of them, but yet there's always improvements to be made. There's challenges every time new software from outside sources changes, and then the integration issues with ILCs and things. So recommend everybody take a look at that Control Trends post August 29th and get up to speed on your Spider firmware.
Very cool, Kenny. Very, very cool. How about, what do we have up next, Mr. Kenny?
Well, we'll digress just a tiny bit and go global here. This is a post that just, to me, it's enormous interest. But ABB positions the world's most powerful offshore wind connector in the North Sea. And this is just fabulous. I mean, if you want to know what's going on, we had a couple posts with the Tesla and Westinghouse and versus the DC guy, direct current. Edison spent a fortune preparing to implement direct current power supplies across North America, and was disappointed when after the World's Fair 1894, the government kind of went with the AC because it was less expensive, and even though it was dangerous. But that's all history. What's happening now, though, is there's a resurgence of DC power. And if you read this post, you'll see that they take the AC power they're generating, they convert it to DC, and then they send it as DC. So the ability, some of the criticisms of DC or the limiting factors it had was it was a low, it couldn't transfer, it couldn't send that power too far away. It was limited to 5 miles. And the Niagara Falls project, Westinghouse won out because they could transmit their power 20 miles away versus 5 miles for the direct current. So ABB is now coming up with a new concept where they're converting AC power at the generation source and then sending it way, miles and hundreds of miles away using the direct current. So that's a real interesting post.
Well, it's interesting to me, Kenny, that the battles between Tesla and Edison continue to rage even after both of them are dead for so long. But if you're a student of history or engineering, Tesla and Edison, what a interesting story, those two people. So
sure is.
Most people I meet, Kenny, they either fall on the side of Tesla or the side of Edison, but very few people fall on the side of both, right?
Well, I think it just it shows you how technology it's old, but yet it keeps improving, and people find new ways to take advantage of the newer technologies applied to the older physics and principles of technology. So this is really cool. ABB is a leader, by the way, and I think we'll see them get involved in our Control Trends Awards for the VFD of the year. Yeah,
I tell you what, let's shout out to ABB right now because they were nominated last year for Variable Frequency Drive of the Year. They're big players in that market as well as many other markets, Kenny. We didn't hear from them until it was sort of too late. They were late into the game. So if you're with ABB, please register to vote for the Control Trends Awards. The ballots are going to go out this week, the nomination ballots. And the way that works, again, is there are some people that are pre-nominated on there, and there's a place to write in up to 3 additional people or products per category. The top 5 out of those will be finalists in the Control Trends Awards. So ABB, if you're listening, get on the stick, get with us, and get your people to register to see if you can get your drive nominated again. You guys got nominated last year putting 0 energy into it. So if you put a little bit of energy into it, you guys could be major contenders in this year's awards.
Very good, Eric. Next up was Ken's top post, information pivot points for week 35. It's got 5 really good references, same suspects, ADR, smart grid, cyber terrorism, and data analytics and data visualization. Next up, Eric. Well, we took a break. Control Talk now on the week ending September 1st, 2013. The history of Labor Day. Great post because Labor Day is very interesting. Part of our the civilization and the comforts that we enjoy right now are the result of just hundreds of years of extraordinary efforts done by American workers, and that story is just glossed over. The article here goes into details about the first Labor Day, why, some information on unions and the importance of unions, and then it's just a good post. So if you have a chance, please go back to the September 1st history of Labor Day post that we substituted our Control Talk Now because we were on the road, and we resumed Control Talk Now this week. Next up was Vicon announcement, be a beta test be a beta tester for Niagara AX 3.8. This is really interesting. We're inching closer to that 4.0 release that we had heard about at the summit last year, and we already have contractors in our area very excited about it because of what it's doing with the the handheld stuff, HTML5 now, so that the people can go around and service their buildings and get their alarms, alerts, and everything on their portable phones and their iPads. But that's another good post if you're interested. There's some paperwork to fill out. You have to pre-qualify and then send that into the Tritium folks. There's a URL to connect for that information.
Kenny, have you ever had any of your systems integrators? Have they ever done beta testing for Niagara?
Yes, every time. And we got one signed up. As soon as that came out today, it was signed up. Dave Simmers from the Rennick Brothers signed up for it and got me right in the middle of that paperwork. And we're ready to go. But yeah, I think because, too, there's a need for it. We have these buildings that are coming online. They want to go high tech. They have... to summarize it or shorten the whole story here is you have very few people that have to do a whole lot of work, and they have to monitor a whole lot of information. And the more readily available that is on all their PDAs and their smartphones and their iPads or whatever, the easier their jobs become, their lives become. So they can rely more on this when you have these improvements to the Niagara 3.8, what that portends to bring. They're very excited to get that because that'll relieve them of some of the pressures they have in operating their buildings.
Great, Kenny. Well, what do we have up next?
All right. Next up is, again, J2 Innovations Training at Stromquist. You guys must be doing very well with J2. Why don't you tell us a little about Scott Mensch and how he breaks down the Fin Builder tool set and the Fin platform at Stromquist?
Well, you're right, Kenny. Again, Scott was in. We tend to, when we get a vendor in, we tend to really keep them busy, and we certainly kept Scott busy at Stromquist and Company. So Scott did a great presentation. This is actually a video that he used when he was doing the training at Stromquist and Company. So again, definitely go check it out. Good stuff that J2 puts together. So can't say enough nice about those guys. We feel really fortunate, Kenny, because we, I think, have two of the best graphics people we're working with between J2 Fin and between J2 Fin and DG Logics, Eugene Mazzo, Arthur, and Dennis. So we're so fortunate as an industry right now, Kenny, I think, to have so many really good choices to work with. And there's a difference between the products, between J2 and DG. They sort of do different things. They do sort of the same things, but they approach it different ways, Kenny. We like them both. We have certain integrators that prefer J2, certain integrators that prefer DG. But I think the operative word here is if you are a building owner and you want to get access to your information where you can have it normalized, where you can have customized views and analytics, these are two great choices. And there are others out there too. Our friend Terry Turner with CSI Cube, they have a great product as well. So there's no reason in the world not to have a great analytics package. So again, thanks to Scott and the rest of the team there. Really, really good stuff.
Indeed. I think too is the scalability now. When they first introduced the products, both J2 and DG Logic, there was it was good for the big applications. I mean, if you look at their acquisition walls and their customer walls, I mean, they're dealing with some of the biggest corporations in the world, and rightfully so, because they need that information. And again, data visualization is what the human mind prefers, rather than looking at numbers and spreadsheets and trying to discern critical information in a hurry. This data visualization that both of these companies offer, you look up and they reduce this down into the most user identifiable and user-friendly formats. And that's coloring, that's graphs, and it's just very comfortable to use, and it is catching on. Pretty soon, everybody that's doing this business is going to have one of these two or a very similar product deployed and used it and use it and become very well to help manage their facilities.
Completely agree, Kenny. And I think part of it is, like you said, there's just so much data to be had now, and accessing data points is so easy now, but you really have to have some sort of a visualization package to make sense of all the data.
Indeed, Eric. So next up, we have again another digression, which is really good, and we like what you're doing down there. Tell us a little bit about the Stromquist Happy Hour Hangout. Stacy made a nice post there. It seemed together that you got your customers and some Stromquist personnel together, and you went out and had a little shindig out there at a local restaurant.
Well, Kenny, we really think that Google Hangouts is such a great way to be able to communicate with your customers. So we've sort of come up with another theme, which is hanging out with our customers. So it sort of goes hand in glove with the Google Hangouts. But with that Google Hangouts, as you know, we've been playing with that. It's just a great way to be able to get hold of your customers where they can participate without actually having to be physically located at your place of business, and they can interact with you. So we created this thing. It's we do them once a month. It's a hangout. We have them in different parts of the city. We invite different customer groups that are in that area, and they just come hang out with us. We got some fun people at our company, Kenny, and I think that's part of it. What we do is important as a business and as an industry, but it's not serious. So I think sometimes we forget to have fun while we're doing stuff. So, hey, Stromquist and Company, we're the most fun vendor to do business with. Come hang out with us. If you're ever in Atlanta, would love to have you look us up. Come by. We'll take you to one of our hangouts. And but yeah, nice job from the team there. Our marketing team came up with that at Stromquist and Company. That's Stacy and Sayon Johnson, who you probably remember from the Control Trends Awards. So thanks again, guys. Great stuff.
All right, Eric. Next up, we have see how to use Honeywell's RM7800 fault codes. That's one of my favorite product lines, the RM7800s and the ST7800, especially the 1042, the newer display. What a tool that makes. That's probably, in my opinion, the first tool that really sold itself. As soon as you used it the first time, you couldn't substitute anything else. The meter went the way. It was just too hard to take the plus minus and coordinate that. You need 9 arms to have everything holding it, all the clips, and now you just go up to this thing and it talks to you. And the coolest thing is it takes that Modbus. So if you got the S7810M as in Modbus, you take that right now into your building management system. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that video? It's a great video.
Well, great. Well, Kenny, one of the biggest posts we've had on Control Trends is how to use RM7800 fault codes. It was a post that Bill Jones wrote a couple of years ago. We get so many hits on that every day, and we never had a video with it. And your company's probably like ours. Every company has their sort of guy who's been around for a long time, their mad scientist type guy, the guy that's in the back office with the screwdrivers and can make things work. And our guy that's like that is Bob Coach. So I got Bob. We talked Bob into coming out, putting an RM7800 up on the test board and sort of walking people how to use the fault codes. And it turned out to be a really, really good video. And that controller, the only downside of that controller, Kenny, is it doesn't break. We have some of these things. One of the things that keypad will do is it'll keep up the cycle time and run hours, right? So we've got some of these things. We go out in the field, and they've got over 1 million cycles on these things, right? You can see Bob doing it right now. That's the number of cycles that one's been through, which is 99. But it makes it very difficult as a distributor because you could count on everybody else's controllers breaking at least every couple of years. So the replacement business was really good, but this RM7800, Kenny, it just doesn't break. It's just a great controller. Again, but it's like anything else. You have to sort of know how to use the tool. And I think what Bob does a really good job with this is walking people through all the things that are available with that keypad. And it was nice to get Bob out of his office. If you ever go to the Stromquist counter, he's the guy back there behind all the books and all the screwdrivers and all the meters. And he comes out, when customers have a problem, they come on the counter, and Bob's one of the guys that can solve them for them. So thanks, Bob, for coming out and doing the video for us.
Also, the RM7800, Eric, as you've mentioned time and time again, it's part of it's an integral component to some of the other things, the fuel-air ratio controllers, the Delphi, and so it's a very big product for the Honeywell folks, and it's very reliable. What they suggest you replace it after 1 million cycles, correct? I think there's somewhere I remember somewhere along the line here that you'd want to. Just not because it's the obsolescence. It's just that just by the time you're doing your millionth cycle, you're probably in your 8th or 9th year of usage, and technology keeps getting better and better. So on the other side of obsolescence, just breaking down after so many ons and offs or modulations, they actually measure those down to the 600th term, and then it breaks. Where the electronics of these types that are so resilient and so dependable, the millionth cycle, I think, indicates that you've had that in place for enough time that there might be another unit there that has a generational upgrade that has more features and more safety. So not necessarily to replace it, but
well, Kenny, you're preaching to the choir here. I think you should replace them after 1,000 cycles personally, but not because you need to, but but these things are just rocks, as you know. I mean, in terms of just being unbelievably reliable controllers. And if you haven't tried an RM7800, reach out to your local Honeywell Flame Safeguard distributor. Tell them you want to try one. I mean, we know virtually all the Honeywell distributors in the country. It's a great group of guys. Most of them are in Controls Group North America with us, Kenny. That's cgnacontrols.net. And they'd be more than happy to look at an upgrade. What you pay for these things, they're very competitively priced, but what they do in terms of reducing downtime and making your maintenance staff more efficient is phenomenal. And Honeywell built this thing too well, quite candidly. And yeah, 1,000,000 cycles. Yeah, replace them after 1,000 cycles, but just to keep guys like me and Kenny in business. What do we have up next, Kenny?
Women in the HVACR host the 10th annual conference in Philadelphia, September 16th through the 17th with ComfortTech 2013. So there's a two-part message. Again, we reach out to our Control Trends community to get to take your look at this site. They have a great site. There's a hot button there, and also if you have the opportunity to get to their conference, they have a lot of great things. Their theme of the year this year is Philadelphia Freedom, which is easy to do in Philadelphia, and also more importantly, there's a very business side to that, the ComfortTech 2013. That's another very large organization that does a lot of great things for their industry and ties directly into our HVAC applications in our business.
Well, Kenny, I think sometimes we sort of underappreciate or we've got some great women in this industry that really contribute a lot. I mean, if you think about one of the head people at Watsco, a woman by the name of Carol Poindexter is phenomenal. So we've got great women in the industry. Beth Wanowski from, I'm probably not saying her name right, but Beth from Honeywell, right? I mean, one of the top executives. So I think this is a great organization. I have some personal interest in this too. My 24-year-old daughter, Britt, is working with us part-time as she completes her accounting degree. And, just hats off to the women that are in the industry, and be sure to check that out.
Sure, and we welcome ControlTrends.org. We welcome any posts or any information that you can provide us that we could share or repurpose regarding women in the industry, whether it's a technician, executives, whatever level possible, because there's a scarcity of information, and yet we know that our industry is a large percentage of what we do on a daily basis is being done by women in the industry, and we kind of don't have enough information on that to give them the due recognition. So please help us provide that information, and we'll repurpose it or repost it on Control Trends. Okay, Eric, next up we have Control Trends presents LinkSpring Live, an interview with Anno Scholten from Connex. That's a very good, again, it's the same themes we're on, demand response and OpenADR. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, the interview that you did with Anno?
Well, it actually wasn't me that did it. This came off of the LinkSpring website. LinkSpring is a big, they do a lot of podcasts. They have a lot of great content on their website, and I encourage you guys to check it out. And as you know, Kenny, one of the things we do on Control Trends is we try to filter out stuff and bring all this great information, the stuff that we think our community will really resonate with. And this is really well done about, again, talking about ADR, which I think is something that if you're in our industry, if you're a systems integrator, you definitely want to be up to date on this. And this is a very informative podcast, so definitely worth checking out. And unlike Kenny and I, this one only lasted 10 minutes and 43 seconds. So, and speaking of podcast, we tend to go a little long on this, Kenny, and that's by design. People have told us that they typically on Monday morning, they do one or two things. They either put this on in the background and listen to it, and so they can watch the video portion of it. But we also have it in a podcast form where you can download it to your smartphone and listen to it whenever you want to. So, okay, Kenny, what do we have up next?
All right, next comes probably the most exciting feature of the Control Talk Now show, because it's the Control Trends Hangout Episode 4, using social media in the HVAC industry. And boy, this was an incredible experience for me, because not only was it live, as far as, being on your toes and staying on topic and everything, but the people were very incredible. We had Judy Knight of Nutrix, we had Abel B. Ramirez of the Controls Freak, and we had George Hawkinson, Vice President of Marketing from LinkSpring, with 3 different but important perspectives on social media. And they shared the experience that how they use social media in their own businesses. And we're talking about an entrepreneur, we're talking about a technical advisor that's preparing an ebook, and we're also talking about the vice president of LinkSpring, which is a very big, important, up-and-coming business. So, what was your take on that Control Trends hangout?
Well, Kenny, I thought it was incredible. First of all, I'd like to give a quick recognition to somebody in our industry that if he hadn't started doing what he was doing, probably none of us would be talking about HVAC controls. I know he's been a big influence on me and you, Kenny, which is Ken Sinclair from AutomatedBuildings.com. So, Ken, thank you for sort of getting us all on this path. If you haven't checked AutomatedBuildings.com out, be sure to check it out. But Kenny, what we've tried to do, we think that social media is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, right? But I think people in our industry are just struggling with what to do and where to sort of jump on board, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Twitter. Everybody's sort of struggling. So what we've been trying to do is to bring different people from our industry together that are doing things with social media, and to talk about different facets of it, and then try to bring experts from outside the industry. And so this particular hangout, we were talking about the importance of having a website and having a blog and what that can do for you. So Judy Knight from Nutrix.me is, she's actually helped us get started with the control trend. She's a very, very intelligent woman, does good work, and she helped us get set up with WordPress. She's a big blogger, very, very well respected in the WordPress community, which is huge. So we had Judy on talking a bit about, how you can get a website together, everything from an e-commerce site to, more importantly, a blogging or a media type site, because that seems to be the thing that has really helping people get search engine optimization. So, Judy, thanks very much for being on the show. Abel Ramirez, a.k.a. the Control Freak. Hey, Abel, I just got to take exception with you about one thing. Ken Sinclair is the man. He will always be the man. So, but Abel does a really cool blog called thecontrolsfreak.com. Abel is a systems integrator. He's a guy from the field. He blogs about things in the field. Very, very, very good stuff. We posted a lot of his stuff on Control Trends and will continue to do so. And you're right, Kenny. Abel is putting together an ebook that he's getting ready to do and promote, which I think will be really, really good. So, but the controlsfreak.com, you definitely want to check his site out. And then we had George Hawkinson from LinkSpring. So we had the perspective of a manufacturer, and we spoke about LinkSpring a few minutes ago with their podcasting and what they do with that. And so George had a very interesting take on their objectives and why they do it. So all those things add up to what I thought was a very, very interesting conversation. So be sure to check that out. And hey, if you're doing anything at all with social media, we don't care where you are in the world, and want to be on one of these hangouts with us to share what you're doing, we would love to have you. Just reach out to either me or Kenny in comments. We'll track you down. We're trying to do these things once a month, and would love to hear what you're doing. It's a great way for other people to find out about your website. Abel will tell you from the Controls Freak, it's good to have other people talk about what you're doing, and it's also really good to share what you're doing with other people. So again, thanks to all of our participants for that, and stay tuned for more hangouts.
There was one thing I'd just like to add to that, Eric, and that was that there's a philosophy, I think, in social media that Judy covered, and especially George covered, where you give your information, your technical information away in the hope, or not in the hope of it. It's just, it's like the universal, clause that if you give something out, you create a vacuum, you get something back. But Judy related some of the things that she first just put her information on her website and got people's interest, and it created that trust relationship. And George was saying how LinkSpring, they want to put everything that they can on the website. There's certain things, of course, they require sign-in, but what they want to do is enable their customers to be able to access the information without any handicaps, no obstacles, no barriers, no limitations. Everything that you need is accessible, and probably the most powerful tool to do that is social media. And so social media means a lot to different things to different people, and that's what it's all about. At every level, you can be involved in social media. It takes some time and energy. Judy's comment about WordPress is WordPress has got an enormous percentage of the social media web page market, and that was very impressive. So Eric, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, speaking of social media and sales, Mark Jewell is a guy we've talked about before, and Mark is, I think, going to be coming on ControlTalk now with a tech tip of the week. But we kicked it off with a video that he had about how to reach the decision makers. And Mark is just a phenomenal speaker. Out of all the salespeople that I've heard, he is right at the top of the list. So be sure to check that out. Mark teaches a Ninja Boot Camp. He's part of the Honeywell EEO program. He's somebody you don't want to miss, Kenny. He just really, really, really knows his stuff. So be sure to check Mark out, and we'll have more on Mark as time goes on.
All right, Eric. Next up, we have Haystack Webinar planned for Tuesday, November 12th, 2013, and the call for speakers for this event. We have a Haystack message from Heather Deal. Heather, we hope you're doing well, and we look forward to seeing you soon in the very near future. But Heather welcomes everybody back from the summer, and they're getting back down to the grind. John Petsy will be moderating a webinar that will be held at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, November 12th. There's a call for speakers. They want 3 or 4 speakers that are working with Haystack and are willing to share the information. The goal is to present a couple concise examples of how you see the Haystack data modeling helping your business and that of the other webinar attendees. And if you're interested in taking a lead role to help educate the community, then get in touch with Heather at the email address on that post.
Yeah, again, Kenny, want to echo that. Best to Heather and Haystack. And again, thank you so much for their support of the 2013 Control Trends Awards. So, Kenny, I want to make an announcement. We have been working on something for about the last year, and we were starting to unveil it. As a matter of fact, you can go there now. But if you think about, we've started a website, Stromquist and Company has, called ControlBid.com. And Kenny, what it is think of eBay for controls, because the one thing we all have in common, if you're in this business, if you're a distributor, if you're a contractor, if you're a user, the one thing we all have in common is we wind up buying stuff that we either don't use, or it gets old or it gets obsolete, and we all have this dead inventory that's sitting around. So we created ControlBid.com as a marketplace where buyers and sellers can come together, just like on eBay. And so the way that basically works is you can become a buyer. You sign up for an account, and a seller. You can list your products. You basically upload an image on it. You talk about the product. You can do a couple things. You can create an auction only where people can bid on your product. You can have a buy now price where they can actually buy the product right there for a buy price, or an auction with a buy now price with a minimum price. And what that basically means, Kenny, is that, let's just say I got an old relay and I want to sell it, and it's been sitting on my shelf for a while. I put it up, and I might say, hey, for $40 you can buy it now without it even being bid at an auction. And if I want to auction it, so somebody comes along, they just say, God, I've been looking for that. It's an obsolete relay. They can just go buy it right now, and then you're connected right there with that seller. They actually ship you the product, and the transaction takes place between you and the seller. The other option you have is an auction. So you can have an auction minimum price. That same $40 relay, you might say, okay, I'm going to start an auction. It's a minimum price of $20. They can buy it for $40 if they want to. And then there's a time, obviously a time, just like on eBay, for the auction to take place. And so what couple things that happen on eBay, if you use eBay, you get charged a listing fee. We will not be charging a listing fee. You'll basically pay a small percentage if your product sells, so there's no risk. And the other thing is with eBay, you have to, because there's a listing fee, if you have an auction and it ends in 2 weeks, you have to constantly go back in and re-put it up for auction. So we're going to give you the option to automatically have it go back. So if it doesn't sell at a particular auction, it'll automatically be relisted with a new auction date. That way you can put your inventory up once and it can just keep going until somebody picks it up and hopefully bids on it and hopefully sells it. So that's an exciting thing, controlbid.com. Please check the site out. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. And more than anything, post your surplus inventory on there. The other thing is a kind of a cool feature, Kenny, is that if you want a particular item, let's just say there's no relay or something, you can put, I want this, and somebody could just go to the site and see, oh, I have this, and somebody wants it, they could sell it. So it's a great way to sort of connect not just distributors together, but this is open to distributors, contractors, end users, everybody. The one caveat I will say, Kenny, is that this is not meant to replace your local distributor. So, you might be overstocked on a couple of items, and we're real clear on the website about that this is not a place for you just to dump new inventory. So, there are certain companies in our industry that we're aware that would just go put all their inventory on there and just use it as another channel to sell their products. We know sometimes you're going to be overstocked and you're going to have some new items from time to time, but we will be monitoring that very, very closely so that if somebody is abusing it, they will be not allowed to sell on the site anymore.
Eric, I'll tell you what, I commend you and Stromquist for that, because if you can't beat them, join them, but be the leader. eBay, of course, it's another phenomenon that took off, and in our lifetimes when we saw it and we heard the distant rumbling, and now everybody is on eBay and everybody knows about it that is using a computer. But I think what's really cool about this is that it's designed for the control industry again, and it doesn't have toilet paper and towels and screwdrivers. It has controls, and the buyers and sellers will meet. There's a phenomena that occurs, and it's undefined and it's unwritten, but the internet has allowed it to happen, where you could have a tremendous amount of mercury switches that are no longer available or sellable in your geographical area that might be perfectly sellable down in a different state or a different country. And they might be, these are high quality products that simply were basically obsoleted, not because of their product performance or their capability, but because of the social and political reasons that basically ended the product line. I think too that getting ramped up. I was on the site, and we're distributors, and I work with the people at the Smyers Company to see how they feel. But I see it as a great last resort option, as well as an opportunity for marketing. This kind of marketing, opportunity marketing at its finest, because for the control business. And I wish you all the success. And you'll run into some problems, I'm sure, with the warranties and all that stuff. So all it has to be pretty well declared out front. It's a buyer beware, caveat emptor. What you see is what you get. No returns and all that good stuff. But good luck to you.
Well, I appreciate it, Kenny. Yeah, and it is, we are just strictly the interface. In other words, what we're basically going to do is we're going to monitor, make sure we got legitimate buyers and sellers out there. But then once you put something up there and you sell it, it's between the seller and the buyer to work everything else out with that. Again, this does not replace your local distributor. That's who you should go to. But this is for if you have obsolete or old items or overstocked items that you can't get rid of, and we all have those that have been on our shelves for years. This is a place you can put those up. And the other thing, Kenny, is one of the guys that works for us used to work with one of the school systems, and a big school system. He says those guys just get stuff that they've got boxes of old product that have never been used that were spares for maybe a particular building automation system, and some of those things you can't get anymore. So it's a place for people to put those products up there, and also for a place for somebody, if they've got an old system, a Train system or a Siemens system, and they need one controller or whatever because they don't want to replace that whole system, it's a place they can hopefully go find those parts and pieces too. So again, we'll talk more about ControlBid, but it is actually up now at controlbid.com. So be sure to check that out. Let me know what you think. So Kenny, I think we're getting near the end of the show here. So let's wind it down. What are we sort of finishing up with here?
All righty. The last two entries are going to be the Ken's information pivot points of week 36. Won't be league of that. Please visit the Control Trends. It's the same interesting stuff. If you want to read it, please go to that post, and there'll be 5 interesting pivot points to look at involving the HVAC industry. And the last entry, Eric, is Eric's favorite video of the week.
Well, yeah, and what I'm doing, Kenny, is as we prepare for the 2013 Control Trends Awards, which, by the way, Ballots will be going out this week, the nomination ballots, so be sure to look for those. And if you haven't registered to vote and be part of the Control Trends Awards 2013 ones, please register to vote. But yeah, we're going back through and I'm picking some highlight videos out from the 2012 Control Trends Awards, and one of them was our first inductee to the Control Trends Hall of Fame, which was Warner Buck from Belimo. Trends Hall of Fame member. Warner? Anybody that's been in the industry for a while knows what a contribution Warner has made to our industry. And Kenny, what a thrill. I think he was really touched being the first inductee into the Control Trends Hall of Fame, and there'll be a new member this year at the 2013 awards. So be sure to check that out. And Kenny, it was amazing. Warner got a standing ovation from everybody in the audience, which was something to see, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Eric, I tell you, I had goosebumps on my neck because it's just so exciting to see that we finally got accomplished. One of our primary goals at the very beginning of our collaboration for the Control Trends Awards was to give people in our industry recognition, and everybody knew Warner Buck. In other words, what was really cool about that is you always talk about how many years we got in this, business together, and we share that experience with so many other people, thousands of people in the control business. But to see somebody who came in back 25 years ago with an idea and brought it into our markets, and watched him take this concept and germinate it amongst all the markets, to become an incredible force and actually change a paradigm change into the way actuations occurred, both on valve bodies and particularly dampers. It's just an incredible experience, and to see the industry at large show their recognition and appreciation. And he was very deserving as the first inductee, and I was really super excited and happy to be part of that.
So there you have it, another week of Control Talk Now for the week ending September 8th, 2013. I'm Eric Stromquist. He's Ken Smyers. We'll see you next week on ControlTrends.org.